We are now live. And while we wait for people to join, I will be eating a bowl of toast.
Thanks. Come on then, how do I get to that? Get to the questions.
Refresh it. In fact, go to home.
Oh, yeah, it should
So
say
I
there,
should-
shouldn't it?
Yeah, it should pop up there somewhere. Hello, Parabellum. Who else? Aiden. Woohoo! Hey, why is Aiden's name Bard in black? What's that all about?
Question.
Hello. Rual joined. There you are.
Question
hello.
master.
So, we're going to do a brush live shootout. This is Andy.
Hello.
And Andy is a most trusted compatriot. And I figured, while I do a brush shootout demo thing, this, that and the other, Andy's really good at asking me sensible questions. Yeah, Andy's really good at like probing me for maybe more clear information and things like that. And I also really like his company, so it really helps. But while I'm doing a demo and chatting away about brushes and showing you what's what, you might actually have questions, and I won't be able to see them questions. So Andy's going to do questions and stuff like that. Wow, it's 12 people in already. Can you?
Yeah.
Bye. Say bye, everyone.
Hi everyone.
There we go. Brilliant. So, hi everybody. Look at me already. I'm trying to read the.
So anyways, yeah, we've got loads of people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant.
Hairy Bot Minis.
Hairy book.
That's what it says. Their choice.
Right. Yeah.
Fishy 66. Mini Mac painting. Oh, there's loads of them. Loads and loads of them.
Interesting seeing the lag.
Yeah, there is. There's
It's
quite a lot
about
of
30
them.
seconds, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Right, Rods Mods, hello. So yeah, tonight I'm going to be looking at the comments less, I hope. And as usual, I've got some toast, so I'm going to eat these because there I am. But you excited for tonight? I well am. So the only brushes I've tried before, and I know, are the Element Games ones. I've never used Rosemary and Co. And I have used and swear by BrokenToad Mark IIs. These are Mark IIIs. Now here they're very different animals, but still amazing. We'll just go back to Element Games. I do also swear by the Element Games ones, by the way. I use both a lot. But when I up my game, if I really want to paint well, and I really want something to respond as well as possible for me in the way I paint, I always choose the BrokenToads. But that isn't to say that in any way the Element Games ones aren't 100% reliable. They are. They will get. At least they get me where I need to go anyway. So you might say that they are our, what's the term?
Workhorse reference.
A reference point, yes. I've got a sneaky feeling as well that these might be the most affordable of the three. I don't know. I actually don't know how much Rosemary and Co cost. Did you buy me these?
Right done. They are not tremendously expensive. They're a sort of a size 1-ish brush is well less than £10. Probably about £6 or £7 or £8.
Yeah, I
Something like
thought the Element Games ones were about £7.
Yeah.
Again, it's been so long since I've actually bought brushes with money. Not that I buy them with anything else. I just have a kind of like a stash, and I keep them. And yeah, I just don't. And I don't ruin brushes that quick either, to be honest. So maybe we can talk about that as well. Actually, about maybe some brush care while using them. While using it. So I'm going to munch this last piece of toast.
Parabellum Painting says, I haven't used the Mark II, but the 3 are the best I've used so far.
That sounds really promising.
Doesn't it? Rob Watson says, this is not my kind of thing, as you know, Tommy, but it's good to see you.
Hey! Rob is my oldest friend. Not that he's ancient, it's just that we have known each other the longest.
Nice.
We're the same age. We went to the same nursery together, infant school, junior school, high school, all the way up till now. And Rob's weirdly maybe should be a year older than me, but he was born like in December, slightly out of a window, so he was in my year.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Am I right there? You're in December, aren't you, Bob? If you're still on.
Rod's Mods guesses Rosemary are the cheapest.
Let's find out. Somebody find out for us.
Yeah.
How much is each? That'd be really cool.
The Grumpy Man Likes to Paint asks, is that the BrokenToad brushes? Yeah, we've got BrokenToad, Element Games, and Rosemary & Co brushes here today.
What kind of Rosemary & Co have we got? Because you might notice that this is still a very clean crimp. So since I acquired these, if they are from you, I've never opened them. At least to my knowledge. So there we go. So we've got a size 2, size 0 and a size 1 Rosemary & Co. And they almost look almost all the same size, apart from this giant huge one. So we'll see. Oops, I just lost a lid.
We should probably also mention Rosemary & Co do make loads of different series of brushes. These are Series 22.
Right.
Which are one of their Kolinsky Sable.
I did not know that.
Brushes. Yeah. Short handle as well. Don't think any miniature painters buy the long handle ones. Why would you want to?
No.
Just some extra wood.
Also something I didn't know. Bop, bop, bop. There we go. Right, okay. And the Element Games ones, they just label theirs as Character and Regiment. Again, like I said, I don't know anything about Rosemary & Co, but I'm going to talk about the Element Games ones now. When I buy brushes, I almost always, if I can, try before I buy. Like, if I go into an art shop and they sell Winsor Newton brushes, I'm going to say to that person, can I try that brush with water before I buy it? Because almost all brushes can be inconsistent in manufacture, and I've found that Winsor Newton, as amazing as they are, because they are amazing, there's dodgy ones in a batch, end of story, and Winsor Newton are the most expensive, I would say. Other than maybe BrokenToad are about the same. Again, I don't know, so if Chris is around, Chris knows I'm doing this, by the way, the fellow who runs BrokenToad. So if he's around to let us know, cool. But Element Games brushes, I've never had a bad one. Never had one I don't like. I've never had a problem with them ever, and I actually recommend them on my YouTube channel. I have like an affiliate link there. Hint, hint. Not that I have ever made any money out of it. So, but there you go. So if you do fancy trying the Character and Regiment brushes, dive onto my YouTube channel and go and find the link. But yeah, they're just really good brushes. Simple as that. So yes, I've just pulled the lids off them like a cabbage.
Profanity 1978 says, true, I had a duffer as my last Winsor & Newton Series 7. Currently using the Rosemary & Co and having a good time. So, here's a question, what are you looking for?
Great question. So what am I looking for? So if I was to, in fact, let's just do it. There's some water. What else will I get? Let's get a bit of paper. So if I'm in a store, so it's easy to say what I'm looking for while I've got paint and a brush and a palette and a model and all the hobby stuff.
Yeah,
but,
if you're in a shop.
Yeah, if you're in a shop, get some watercolour paper. I ain't got any. So I'm going to use this packet here. What am I looking for? if I'm going to stick with the ones I already know, alright, for the sake of this, what have I picked up at random? Regiment brush. So, first thing I do is, I have a look at it in the packet. That one. So, here's 2 Rosemary and Co's, alright? This Rosemary and Co has got a lovely point on it, which is, Instagram struggles to focus on things that aren't the main event, which is us guys. So, you're just going to have to take my word for it that this has got a nice point, but this one has dried out and fluffed out. So that makes me go, why has it done that? Has it been used before? Yeah, so whatever like conditioner or coating brushes are shaped with at the end of the manufacturing process, has that worn off for some reason? Has the lid come off and the brush has been bumped from the top, which has made it fluff out? Yeah, so I asked myself those questions. What's happened to it? Why is it open? But if that's the only one available, then I have to use it. Alright, so what will I do? First thing I do is I wet it and I shape it. There we go. I used to use my mouth, but I don't do that business anymore because I care for my health a lot. So now it's got a good point. Yeah. Now it's got a good point. I'm going to do a few quick brush strokes with it. In fact, let's take you over there. You're coming with me, suckers. You're getting swept over, suckers. Right, okay. Get in my little holder. Here we are. So, what was I using? Element Games Rosemary Co size 1 is the one I was using. So, here we've got our paper here. Okay, and in fact, are we the right way up there? The charger will have to come out for a second. So if this goes on YouTube, we need to be the right way up. I think this is the right way up. There we go. So, yeah, get some water. I wash the brush. I shape it. Get a nice point to it. Come on, focus. There we go. Now, I also check the colour of the brush, believe it or not. You see, like, it's got this very warm chestnut appearance. Yeah, it gets lighter and pinier towards the ferrule, darker and richer, like a really dark warm brown towards the end, and it's kind of chestnutty in the middle. I always check that it's got those nice rich colours. If the colours are too pale or too dark, I'm pretty much going to expect the bristles to be a little bit brittle, and you don't want that, because that affects the way the brush bends, because you always want the brush to bend in a consistent way. You don't want it to kink in any way. That's the flex and snap idea, and yeah, that's bad essentially, because if there's no reliable flex and snap, then when you use the brush, it's not going to go back to the way you've set it. So for example, here we go, let's do 1 2 3 4 5 6. Look at the brush. What a good brush. Essentially, I'm buying it. I don't know if you saw the size and shape of those brush strokes. Oh, you can't really see it on camera there, can you? Let's see if we can tilt it in some way where we get a more visible result. Let's get rid of that, because you've just seen how I do it. But yeah, I essentially, I use the brush. I use it how I would with paint. I use it, well, just imagine the water's paint. It's as simple as that. Yeah. Does the brush always go back? So let's give it a bit of a beating now, so you can see, like, you can see there. Now I kind of bash it around a bit, and now let's just pull back and twist, really quick and easy. Look at that, nice point again. Got stray hair there, but I have just leathered it, and I've not even really loaded the brush with any fresh moisture. Yeah, because it's the moisture that holds it all together. So I don't know if you can see now that the brush looks a lot tighter and some of the richness has gone out of the colour, and that tells me that I've exhausted the water in the well, so I'd actually not really want to use it at this point. However, given that it's the water that holds everything together and holds it into a nice point, this thing is still holding its point really well. So that, as a dry run for a size 1 series 22 Rosemary and Co Kolinsky Sable, that's a great brush. I absolutely would use that a lot. Yeah, so now I've given it a bit of a welly. It looks like it's not responded too well, so let me just, so I'll give it a wash. Yeah, because some of the bristles inside might be all a bit plaited and knotted up, so if you, when you wash them, you're going to let them align a little bit better again. So there we go. So yeah, get a bit more light on that. Look, see, nice clean lines. Let's do some thicker lines. Thicker lines. Because I've done a thicker line, I'm going to be flattening the brush a little bit, you know, so it's got this italic wedge shape. Yeah, but still, let's keep with this italic wedge shape. Let's reshape the brush. There's a little bit of a split in there, but again, to be expected, because those thicker lines eject a lot of the moisture out onto the palette, but it's gone back with no troubles. I'd be really happy painting with that. I'd buy that straight away. So there you go. Should we go through the lot like this? Big ass brush. So this is fresh. It started off looking like that in the ferrule. It's got a stray hair, so what? We give it a wash. Now, when I wash the brushes, let's just pull you up here. Some brushes, when they're dry, can be brittle. Yeah. So, I had this brush. The lid came off and it was already puffed out, so I can't use this one as an example. Oh no, that was that one. Sorry, I'm getting all mixed up. Sorry, this brush, this Element Games one. You see, it's. In fact, let's compare colours. You see, it's not got as much of that chestnutty feel. So I wonder. Let's compare it to this one that we just used. Oh, there we look more comparable. So this one looks like it's not been moistened. It's not wet. So what I would do is, I wouldn't test this now because they can get brittle and they can crack easy. So if you just check the cup here now, I'll just kind of dip it in a little bit and let it soak, and then really gently kind of just. In fact, I was right to be cautious with this. It feels really stiff, so I'm letting the water just soak into it, just to there we go, just to loosen it up. But look at the colour it's gone now. It's gone darker.
Mm-hmm. Gently waking it up.
Gently waking it up, yeah. So now let's compare the colours. It's still a little bit lighter, but not so much. Now it looks like a good brush. So we have just tested that one. In fact, I'm going to put that one over there. Mm-hmm. Let's stick with this equivalent looking Element Games one. Let's do the same since we just woke it up. There we go, let's get back there. See that? That looks like a beautiful, if that was in paint, that would be a beautiful line. I like already, which I kind of expected it to perform well anyway, because like I said, I've never had a poor Element Games brush. But then again, every one I've ever bought, I've bought in their store, so I've held it, you know what I mean, and I've given it a dry run where possible, but not actually as diligently as I am doing now, because I feel they are that reliable. Just realised I sound like my own I could potentially sound like my own salesman because I've got an affiliate link, but honestly, Then again, I don't have an affiliate with Rosemary and Co. or BrokenToad either, so there you go. And they're both tried and tested. But so see, putting this brush through these same paces as before. See, I watch how it splits. I don't know if you noticed, but the brush started to split up the middle a second ago. That was mainly because I think it was running out of moisture. So remember that, always keep your brushes nice and moist all the time. So there's always liquid and material to work with in the belly, or the well. I prefer to call it the well because that's where you keep the water. Right, remember that. Yeah, again, so an excellent brush. Let's give it a wide setting. So there we go, that wedge kind of idea. Let's see if it goes back. Quick and easy. Excellent brush. Element Games Regiment brush. I swear by them. I think bang for the buck. Unless the Rosemary and Co brushes are exactly the same price or cheaper, which I don't know yet. In fact, look at the colour of them now. They're both the same colour. I'd be hard pressed to say that they're the same brush. To say that they're not the same brush, what is it? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they do look very similar.
Somebody hinted to me recently that they are the same manufacturer. I don't know that. But looking right now, they're the same brush. It's almost the same handle, same length, same crimp on the ferrule, same. Oh, it's slightly different on the handle. The sweep on this handle where it starts to taper in is a little bit different and further back on this one. Yeah, it's almost none. So this has got a slightly thicker handle there, which is an important thing, I think. By the way, if anybody gets them brushes with the weird fat handle thing there, they're just making things difficult for you, by the way, because they put your painting position further away. A small movement further away translates to a large movement at the end of that thing. Yeah, so if you're painting there, you've just lost that much control, which sounds like a small amount, but it's a huge amount. Yeah, trust me when I say so. These stupid brushes that have that handle there, even if you have RSIs, you're better off putting a big blob of blue tack there as a bigger handle and gaining more control. You'll absolutely have more control if you hold the brush there. You'll also stifle your control if you hold the brush there. You'll run out of the ability to move as far. So there you go. Anyway, what a great brush. Right, what were we doing? So we've done these two. Brilliant. Let's see if we've got a BrokenToad equivalent. Moment of truth, this. I am excited for the BrokenToad brushes, because while I said multiple times that I swear by the Element Games ones and that they're super reliable for me, I do know that the Mark IIs, they just were super reliable in the most luxurious way. They were just amazing brushes. Amazing brushes. I don't know if, I suppose by saying what I've just said, am I just saying they're kind of needlessly amazing? If you see what I mean. If everything I can do with a BrokenToad, I can do with what do you call it? An Element Games brush. Or even that Rosemary and Co now. You know, what is it that I like? Oh, right, I can already tell you now, the bigger handle. I can feel it. I can feel it. I like the bigger handle. There's more weight to it. I can already feel the quality. That's a size 0 on the size 1. There we go. So this size 1 looks huge in comparison to the Rosemary and Co size 1. Yeah, it's much bigger. But you see, right, check this out. From the word go, this brush already has that really warm chestnut rich look. It already has it, and that tells me something immediately. It tells me something about the quality of the hairs immediately. It tells me that they're less likely to be brittle, Though I will still treat them straight out of the packet as if they are, because I mean you just don't really know, you know. But how rich they are tells me something about it. Again, let's keep these out of the way just for now, so we don't get all mixed up. Right. So in fact, let's give it a quick. Yeah. So if you look here now, that's a brittle brush, you know.
Oh yeah, the bristles are solid. They just don't move.
Yeah. So I won't force that because you can crack the hairs. So again, bring you in. Let's just start to soak you up. There we go. So it's breaking up now. Always gentle with them. Hey, right. So things that piss me off. I'm gonna absolutely say it. Things that piss me off. This pisses me off. People who do this because it's needless. It's bad for your brushes and it's bad for your painting environment. This. Alright? Don't do it because all these droplets fly everywhere. They'll land on your models. I guarantee it, they'll land on your models. Next thing. I don't know if you saw how much stuff went flying here, there and everywhere, but it does. Watch how little I wash my brush. That much. I'll just take the excess off there, as well as a bit of fluff. That's about as much as I need. Now, I said before, my brushes last for ages. I make them last for years. So, how and why? Well, in the washing of the brush, there's one reason. You just don't punish it. Anyway, here's our size 1. Look at that. That is luxurious. If you,
it's a beast.
It is a beast, isn't it? But like the colour of it, the size of it, the shape of it, it's properly rich and chestnutty. I'm already dying to use this brush just by looking at it, you know. Alright, it's a different size, so we can't necessarily compare performance-wise, you know, because it's not an equivalent, but it to me it feels better. I'm actually dying to use it. How nerdy am I about brushes? I'm kind of getting a little bit excited. I do. So right, I can tell you immediately now the difference. This brush, now it might be the size that's translating to what I feel as softness, but not weakness. There's a difference. This is soft, it feels light, as well as reassuringly weighty, I would say. That is a delicious brush. I'm not kidding you. That is just Andy, tell me I'm not mad. Swap places with me. Swap. You've seen what I do and how I do it.
Yeah, let's have a go.
That is mad nice.
Alright, so
I'll take over the comments.
Yeah, alright, so let me just have a quick go with the Rosemary and Co, which is the brush that I usually use, and remind myself what that feels like. Yeah. Let's find a bit more of this.
Ray Spencer, as an old painter but not of minis, do I have preferred hair, synthetic or sable? It's got to be sable every time, though I haven't tried the BrokenToad synthetic ones or the Games Workshop synthetic ones, but I'm pretty sure the Games Workshop synthetic ones will not last long. They have a tendency to curl at the end really poorly, but whatever.
Yeah, the Games Workshop brushes have an established reputation, which Games Workshop were working hard to preserve. I think that's probably fair to say.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
it is.
So just from the water, you felt it.
Just from the water, yeah. So just, you can't see, but just on the side of the pot, doing this sort of thing, and yeah, it is soft. So yeah, the brush.
But not weak.
Not weak. No, it's controlled. It's doing exactly what you want it to do. It's behaving just as you want it, except that with the Rosemary and Co brush, you can feel resistance. Like just as you go from, are we going to be able to see enough? As you go from here to here, With the Rosemary & Co brush, that takes, well, you can feel pushback. It doesn't take effort.
Yeah,
it's a tiny paintbrush.
Shorter.
But you can do. Is that it?
It's like considerably shorter, so that would translate to torque, if you will, a snap.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So maybe if we compare in a little bit the size 0 BrokenToad.
Yeah, that's right, and we've got this, and we've got the size 2 Rosemary here as well, which is a little larger than the size 1 BrokenToad. But yeah, could look at that as well.
So it's a significant difference, that, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
But in the quality, in the softness of it. So here's how I look at it. Do you remember I said before at the beginning, like the lightness of the hairs made me think it's going to be a bit more brittle.
Yeah.
And we came up, the BrokenToad looks a lot richer and plusher, and I felt reassured that it would be softer and more reliable.
Yeah.
You know? Now, what do I know about making brushes and brush manufacture? Nothing. But all I've got is, wow. I'm just realising how old I am. You know, I've got over 30 years of experience of playing with these things. Yeah. So there's common patterns. Yeah, there's common things that do and don't need to be present for me to choose a brush. You know,
yeah,
or not choose a brush. And that BrokenToad visually delivered in spades. You know, do you want the honours if it's size 0?
Ooh, lovely. Yeah.
Because I can talk all day.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's try and reproduce your method. So, oh god, tell you what, BrokenToad get extra marks for jamming the little container thing on extra hard. That took the force of a moderately well screwed on jam jar lid to get that off. That did. So yeah.
It took the strength of an IT specialist.
Yeah, that's right. If I hadn't been working that keyboard all last week, I don't think I would have got that off. Yeah.
Oh, so there we go. You're treating that nice and gently there. It's like you learned something there. Right? The question is, would you have done that beforehand?
No, I wouldn't. I just jam it straight in the water. Bam! Load of water.
Give it a swish around.
Yeah.
So, by the way, that treatment of brittle brushes, it's not just about new brushes. It's about any brush that hasn't been used that day. So if the brush is dry, don't fart around with it. Get it in the water and keep it moist. That looks lovely, that, mate. I can already see. To me, it's already got the softness. Even here, like, I'm 2 foot away.
Yeah.
And I can already see it's got the softness of the larger size one.
Yeah, it's definitely it's just a different beast.
Yeah.
It's difficult to exactly put my finger on as someone without your expertise to exactly put my finger on what it is about it. But yeah, this is just moves in a different way.
It's longer. So from here,
the
brush is longer, and the taper of the brush is less. So it's less dramatic than the Rosemary Co. the Element Games ones. So you've got a little bit of fluff on the end of that there, by the way.
Yeah, let's just sort it out. Thank you.
So what that means is it will kind of respond a little bit later. So so you might almost say it's got some kind of lag. But that lag gives you control because it will respond less to your jitters. Yeah. So your jitters, because it's like suspension basically.
Yeah.
Right. And that means any of your personal idiosyncrasies, like maybe the way you breathe or the way you hold the brush, any oddities that you might jitter with don't get translated as much onto the model or onto the surface you're painting.
It's just trying to paint a couple of moderately thick lines next to each other, and yeah, that's quite telling that it is definitely easier to paint a narrow straight line with the Rosemary brush, although with the BrokenToad brush it is, but there is a little bit of extra complexity there as well, because does. So I noticed there that a habit that I've just noticed is that when I lift the brush off, it comes slightly to one side, and with the Rosemary brush, well, it follows. Whereas this one, for whatever reason, this is the Rosemary & Co brush, sort of masks that a little bit.
When you say off to the side, what do you mean? Oh, you went that way a little bit.
Yeah, going this way. Going, yeah, as I lift my hand up.
All right. All this detail counts, by the way, guys.
Yeah, well, because if that was paint on a model, that's a line in the wrong place.
Yeah, potentially. So, just a bit of history about me and Andy, by the way, everybody. Like, Andy started off as a student of mine, and then we became friends. It's as simple as that. And Andy gets me better than anyone when it comes to this painting business, because I talk really differently. But he gets me naturally because he gets me, as opposed to because I've taught him to get me. So that's kind of why he's here, by the way. He knows, he's on the level.
Goodness, you can make some teeny little lines with this brush, can't you?
Yeah, see, the thing is, we're only playing with water right now, and water behaves very differently to paint. So very soon we really should get some painting happening, I reckon.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
Should we get through these brushes and get them all soaked and ready to use?
Oh, woken up, right?
Woken up.
All right. Should we have?
In fact, I'm gonna have a quick.
Yeah. Do you want to have a quick go with that?
Yeah. What was it? Size 0, size 1, and yeah. All right. Yeah, I'll just swap with you.
Yeah. And that was well.
This is good, this, isn't it? I am enjoying oneself. Oh, I've got to make sure my battery don't freaking run out. How are you finding it, guys? Are we helping you in your brush choosing and maintenance journeys? Or does it just sound like two nerds sat here talking crap on a Sunday evening? I'm happy with both answers, by the way, because I'm enjoying myself.
Yeah, if you've got any questions about what you're seeing, do just ask. As one of us is fiddling around with the brushes, the other one does have an eye on the questions.
Brilliant, check that out. So again, the richness of the BrokenToad at that size. You see what I was on about the taper being less shallow, taper sharper on this one, which actually means this one's got a bigger belly on it, which is not a bad thing, by the way. The bigger belly means you can hold more water in the well, or more solution of paint and whatever else, therefore more material to paint with, so you might get more brush strokes out of this one than you will this one. But bear in mind, this actually is the size down, so kind of to be expected. So we just really comparable in length, and they're what, maybe half a mil shy in length for the BrokenToad.
Is it worth maybe briefly saying something on like the practical, the real world applications of that? If you're painting a miniature, a brush of those kind of dimensions, right? If you, it's lovely.
Wow, that's so nice. Wow.
So with a brush like that, BrokenToad size 0, which is narrower than the Rosemary size 1, but about the same length.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to get to do fewer strokes, but practically speaking, that is the smaller brush.
Yeah.
Right? You're going to be using the size 1 for your base coats, maybe even for some highlighting and shading.
Yeah.
The size 0 is for some of the smaller work, so it's actually not, in practical terms, it's not that much of a drawback.
So, it depends. It depends on drying time.
Yeah.
Because like a fountain pen, your well is feeding the tip moisture to fuel the paint, so the paint can be fed and allowed onto the model as opposed to force onto the model. Now a larger belly has got more material in it, so therefore it's extending your drying time on your brush.
Right.
So it's going to give you more working time, but that also depends on the type of brush strokes you're using.
Yeah.
Because if you're using bigger brush strokes, you'll be squeezing more moisture out of the well and onto the model and diluting your paint as you work. So, this world of painting is more than just about wiggling brushes at models, right? There's so much tiny detail to consider, and I hope you're kind of getting a really brief, cursory idea of how I look at brushes and what I think about when I'm using brushes and when I'm teaching about brushes, because in fact, I don't think I've actually given a student a full grilling on everything that's in my head about brushes. You know, and again, this is just stuff I've learned. I've never been trained or anything like that. So if anybody wants to develop a brush range with me, I'll happily do that, because I'd be fascinated to find out how it actually goes down and how these things are communicated. You know, I've got lost. What was I saying? The well.
The well, yeah.
Yeah, the well. So yeah, there's pros and cons for both types of brush, but like Andy said, this is a size 0, so I don't expect it to have as big a belly as a size 1, though the lengths are comparable. So, going back, I didn't expect to do this in this detail, you know. Going back, now the BrokenToad size 1 has got a humongous belly on it. Not only is it slightly wider, it's also much longer, proportionately. I'm blown away by how soft these are. A heads up, by the way, for those people that are maybe learning and beginning, right? A softer brush might be tricky to use, because if you're heavy-handed, a softer brush might not like you, because if you're used to a brush that is a lot stiffer and has a lot more snap to it, you might. If you can't adjust to that, that's not the brush's fault. That's your lack of skill, not a brush being shit. I've got to make that clear. Some people, right? Some people, when they buy better brushes, yeah, they think they're going to be a better painter. But what they don't seem to realise is you have to get better to use. You have to adjust to use a different tool. A different brand of brush, or a different size of brush, a different type of brush, even if they're meant to be the same brush, are different tools. And you need to be able to adjust to those brushes. If you can't adjust to those brushes, then you're not good enough. Alright? Outside of just a shit brush. Alright? If it's a busted brush, then fair enough. Alright? But in these instances, I can adjust between any of these brushes, and I'm happy to use any of them. All right. Now, what a lot of people do is they go, "Oh, that feels unfamiliar, there, and I can't use it. Therefore, that brush must be shit." No, you're not good enough, because you're not willing to adjust to the properties of that brush, explore the properties of that brush, therefore develop a wider vocabulary in your abilities and skills. Yeah. Then once you've got used to the brush, go back to your old brush, because you still should be used to talking that old brush language as well as your new brush language. Now you can decide which brush is better.
Yeah. If
that makes sense. So new equipment, whether you think it's an upgrade or not, is new. Get used to it before you judge it. Right? Don't just go, "Oh, it doesn't behave exactly like my old ones, so it must be shit." Because that's what a lot of people do. They want it to feel familiar and like home and carry on as normal. Then you've not really upgraded. Mm-hmm. If it feels different and it's different to use and you need to make adjustments, then you need to make the adjustments. Don't say the brush is shit. So there you go.
Well said.
Thank you.
I noticed we've got probably 10 or maybe 15 minutes left. If we should probably
do
something involving paint.
Well, should we stick with the size 1s? And if we are going to stick with the size 1s, do we stick with the BrokenToad 0 or size 1? Your call, Andy.
I think we should actually compare all 4 of those.
Okay.
If we've got time.
Right. So. Oh my goddamn now test marines have got. In fact, let's just stick with it on the palette. Let's stick with Old Faithful, McCrag Blue. Bam, it's dry because the lid was off.
Boo.
Yavo. Oh, there we go. Right, okay. Boosh.
Oh yeah, that is gone.
Yeah. Right. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm not even going to look at which one that is. It's obviously one of the Rosemary & Co.'s or Element. We're on Rosemary & Co. Bosh. Alright. Mixy, mixy, mix, mix, mix. Feels lovely. Feels wonderful. Feels predictable. Bomb. That is a lovely line. Where did I put that? Oh, you can't even see it because the light's shining in a funny way. Let's go again. Woo! Look at that. Oh, you can't see it. Man. There we go. You just missed that. It's one of the only times I'll do it. Hey, all these people who talk about blending taking ages, you just saw me do it in one brush stroke there. If you want to learn how to do it, you know what we call. So yeah, you've just seen me do 2 lines there, because I've got a rush now, because Andy said there's only 15 minutes allowed on this stream for some mad reason. I don't know why.
Are they not limited to an hour?
Not anymore, I don't think.
Oh, right, my mistake. I thought.
Well, what if it is? Let's rush through it just in case it is.
Right.
So there we go. It does great base coat. It's got great line control. Thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. I actually ran out of space there because I was trying to keep it in line on the camera. But you saw then, I could do thick lines at will. Perfect. You know, let's reset it up. Because I'm rushing now, I might make more mistakes, which I don't want. So, like, for example, I've just over watered this paint. Thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. Beautiful. What a great brush. There we go. Rosemary & Co. BrokenToad, 0. Oh, it feels so different in the hand. So, notice I said before, like this sweep in the handle, hold near the ferrule. This brush kind of naturally wants you to hold it there because it's thicker and it's a really nice place. But especially in comparison to that, I wouldn't have noticed it I wouldn't have noticed it if I hadn't have been holding this one because it feels so different. But yeah, just right at the ferrule is where you want to hold. Yeah, it does feel very different. What are we on here? 0. I'm babbling now. Apologies. Well, that's a really different creature. So because of the lack of a belly on this one, but it is a size down, the way I offloaded the water in the well into the mix on the palette was very different. I actually struggled with that. But that's not because the brush is no good. It's because I didn't adjust because of the size of the brush. Now I've accommodated for that in my head and in my technique being a thing happening, never a result, like in our Mets, rant. Now I've accommodated for that. Oh, nice. So it takes adjustment for me to use this brush. Notice now I'm calming down. I am moving a lot more deliberately now because this brush needs that care and attention, but I'm still able to do thick, thin at will. I'm gonna run out of space here pretty quick, aren't I? Oops. How are we doing for questions or anything like that? Is everyone enjoying this, by the way?
We're certainly getting a lot of lovely feedback. Lots of people saying good to hear thoughts. It's learning loads. Mank951 is learning loads. Profanity 1978 says it's good to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, what a great brush. I'm still going to stick with, if I'm going to do something super high end, and that's obviously just doing a direct back to back of these two. If I'm going to do something super high end, care and attention, display, competition standard, just the best work, I'm going to choose that because of how it makes me slow down and consider and blah blah blah. But you know, this one I could still do that. I could anything I can do with this I can do with this, and vice versa. However, this has got a luxury feel to it that this one doesn't have. Simple as that.
Yeah.
But again, bear in mind it's a size 0 versus a size 1, and they are very different creatures. It still does the one stroke blend lovely.
There's another one, folks. That's 2 on a real video.
I know, yeah.
Never shows it off.
Yeah. Though I don't know if you can see it on camera, but there's a little crescent there where there was a little bit of texture on the palette that gripped one of the hairs, and that little crescent is one of them hairs. Right. Oh, very nice. Right, so I've overloaded that brush. All this is here is properly in shadow for me, because I'm trying to make sure you guys can see it. That's my excuse anyway. Thick, thin, thick, thin. This again. There. Right. Whoever said that these are the same brush, I'm almost going to say they are the same brush. Element Games Rosemary and Co. Grey brushes, pair of them great brushes. But buy these ones through my affiliate link. Oh. Right, so yeah, really nice. So generally, with the reason, in fact, start again. I spoke to Chris Toad the other day, and he was amazed that I hadn't started using the Mark IIIs yet, because I've not finished using up his Mark IIs. One, I look after my brushes in such a way that they last for ages, but also, like I said, I do save those BrokenToad brushes for the best, if you will, for something I just really want, something reliable and comfortable, and on and on and on. And that's why I'm only just getting around to these now. I am actually still on me Mark IIs as well, by the way. So,
is it a little bit like a sports car? Like, you can have.
Look at that. Go on.
If you've got your Ferrari in the garage, and you've got your, I don't know, ordinary car in the garage.
Prius.
Yeah, your Prius, your nice safe car. Yeah, like the Stig can get around the track as fast as anyone in that Prius. Yeah,
probably faster than anyone in that Prius.
Yeah.
Because it's the driver, it's the painter, not the brush.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, go on.
But he can do more with the Ferrari. Although you can. Well, no, that's not what you're saying, is it? You're not saying you can do more. It's kind of the same. Right?
Yeah.
Bad analogy.
I watched some guy the other day. He was talking about the quality of guitars versus performance of guitars, and while he said he bought what is, so you guys all know I play guitar, and there's a very particular type of guitar that I play, and this guy was testing those guitars, and he was comparing it to a Gibson Les Paul, and he said a Gibson Les Paul feels like a high-end quality guitar, but the guitar that I like, he says, I can see this is a high-performance guitar, but not a high-quality guitar. Okay. So all the possibilities are the same, just one's got a waiter, a cup holder. Do you know what I mean? Just there's something extra that gives you a bit more that sense. I've said it before, luxury.
Yeah.
It feels like a luxury item. It just feels better.
Yeah, just a kind of sense of comfort. Just nicer.
But not better performance-wise. It's definitely different performance-wise. You know, notice I'm not having those consistency making troubles that I did before because of the size 0 and the lack of the belly. But now the belly's humongous on this one. Lovely. Look at that. Cool. That's all I've got to say. Yeah, do you know what? Is there any questions or anything like that? Because I think I've said it. I'm now at the point where I'm repeating myself a lot, which I think about covers everything. I've not done this trick, have I? Thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. A great brush. Look at that. Didn't even reshape it. Perfect. In fact, there you go. This brush took, I didn't put any effort into reshaping this brush to a consistent point after doing thick, thin, thick, thin, thick, thin. Which is a challenge to everybody, by the way.
The brush had maintained its point?
Yeah, the brush has maintained its point.
Alright, so...
and I would say more so than in fact, let's not guess. I'm not that kind of guy. Thick, thin, thick, thin. Oh, I've underloaded that. My fault, not the brushes. Thick, thin, thick, too dry. Yeah, this is interesting. So is this the performance of the brush now being disclosed, or is this my lack of ability to adjust to the different brush being exposed? See, I'm not quick to blame my tools at all. So lovely. Yeah, perfect. Both.
Yeah.
What was that? That was the Element Games one. I assume the Rosemary and Co one will do the same. Because those eagle-eyed of you may notice that there's times where I actually will set the brush to do a very particular thing, but that's kept a wide setting slightly, but I mean it's still got a damn sharp point on it. I'd say it'd be exactly the same as the Element Games one. So yeah, dudes.
All right.
Yeah.
So, we've got a little question in from Profanity 1978.
Hello, Paul.
You've talked about good brushes. What would make you refuse to purchase one? So we did kind of talk about this at the bit at the start, but
Yeah.
like, so
Yeah.
you've done your testing. Like, what
Yeah.
what happens to make you go, you know what,
Let's-
this one stay on the shelf?
Let's go back in the room. Hey. Did you enjoy that? I well enjoyed doing that. I know we didn't do every brush, but man, I could go on for hours, as you know, about this stuff. Cheers for that, Andy, as well, by the way.
No worries.
It was interesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Getting your response.
Oh yeah. I definitely thought my response was interesting.
Well, no. but the fact that it did mirror mine.
Yeah. Oh
You
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and it did mirror it in a very immediate way. Just
Yeah.
the
Just
water pot.
yeah. It's clearly the BrokenToads are clearly working differently from the Rosemary and Co and the Element Games
Yeah.
brushes.
So, just to answer your question, Paul, yeah, there's some brush manufacturers out there that I'd like to say I don't recommend them, but that's like saying I don't talk about them. I will actively tell my students to not buy brushes. So I am dissuading people from spending money on those brushes. I'm not even sure. So I wouldn't use an army painter brush. I probably wouldn't use a standard range of most Games Workshop brushes. The artificial range I would, but I would always try before I buy with Games Workshop artificial range, because I've used a lot of them, and they can be unreliable, you know. When it comes to synthetic brushes, I would always happily use a synthetic brush as a synthetic brush. I wouldn't use a synthetic brush as a substitute for a sable brush. That's asking an apple to be an orange, and that's not on. So, you know, maybe we'll do another one of these on some synthetic brushes, because, you know, BrokenToad have got their synthetic brush range, and given their reputation for me, and I would hope they're a higher standard than everyone else's synthetic brushes. But synthetic brushes are different tools for different jobs. If you're trying to paint at a high end with a synthetic brush, you're gonna struggle with some things. I mean, not to mention the longevity, because synthetic brushes will curl at the end. It's as simple as that. They just start to curl, and you know, who wants that really? You know, some people do, and I don't know, it's like maybe a clever ego thing that they're I can use this brush because I prefer it painting round corners. No, I don't think so. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I paint all my curved lines going that way. Yeah. That's
But
just...
I've met people that I'll say, oh, I like the curl on the end. Do you? Really? I'm not sure.
We got another question. No, we've got a couple of questions now. Parabellum Painting says, I use the GW Grey pot with the ridges in the bottom. Do you think if you gently rub the bristles on the bottom, it will damage the brush?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There you go.
You've just seen me using the water there. You know, my brush is going in maybe about an inch. I go, what if we, you know, In fact, don't quote me on that. I can watch the video back and see what I actually do. But truth being, I'm pretty gentle.
The brush doesn't really go very far into the water at all, right? You're basically getting it wet up to the ferrule, give or take, and just wiggle it around. That's enough.
There's no paint on them.
So you can take the brush out and just expel some water on your palette as if you were painting. If it's still got a bit of colour in it, a little bit more of a wiggle.
Yeah, man. So those ridges and those cups, they're destroying brushes. Simple as that.
Yeah, and if you find that you do have paint stuck in the ferrule or that sort of thing, well, I think that's a topic for another time.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. Now, if I had a brush like this, a big part synthetic, part cheapo, look at it, I mean, it's, a big ass scary brush. Well, I want to jam it and scrub it, and yeah, I would. But at the same time, I don't really care. It's still the same idea works with these, so it's There's a lot. In fact, I'm going to sum up my views on the hobby in this kind of subject. Our hobby is really young, and it's built on a lot of pre and misconceptions, and people are innocently creating products based around their level of ability, which includes those pre and misconceptions. So what that means is there's a lot of kind of pointless products being created innocently out of inexperience, while there's a lot of experience in the industry that's very different to be having experienced as a refined hobbyist. That's a big difference. You know, so you know, once everything's been refined to its inarguable essence, and you can use those inarguable essence points to create exactly the same kind of results as everything with all the pre-misconceptions, then that must devalue the pre-misconceptions. But nobody's really doing that, right? But I mean, it's true though, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, I don't often sit here blowing my own trumpet, but it is true. I don't look at painting or the craft, because it's a craft, not an art, although it is some kind of expression, but that's another conversation for another day. But yeah, there's a lot of product out there that's just it's crutches, it's barriers, it's a bunch of shit that holds you back, you know, and those water pots are one of them. You don't need them.
Yeah, they take you on a circuitous path, don't they? There's things that you can. There's things that if you just look at things the right way, you can find that there's a lot of this stuff that you really don't need. You really don't get. And those paint pots are a great example. You know, you see them in the store and you think, oh,
and they're expensive.
Maybe I do need to clean my brushes like that. But you know, when it's clever, right? Because you never ask yourself the question in the store. It's like, what happens when I do clean my brush? Like, can you remember when you're in the store what happens if you wiggle your brush in the water pot and then wipe it on your palette? You know, your brush in your palette with your hand. Can you remember that? Probably not.
Oh, it's just something you do.
It's just something you do. It's like, oh, yeah, maybe that would make it better. I'll buy one. And yeah, maybe you just actually didn't need it at all.
Yeah. So it's funny you say that. You know, we say, oh, it's just something you do. I can guarantee you now that when I'm sat at this painting table doing what I do, everything I do has a reason and I can explain it. Excuse me. There we go. So everything I do has a reason and I can explain it. Like I did before, I tell you why I wash the brush in a particular way. I tell you why I do and don't do certain things just in washing the brush. You know what I mean? I tell you the good points and bad points. I know. You know, and that's come from decades, I can say decades now, decades of teaching experience, not just painting experience, but teaching as well, because I get asked these questions and I see people doing things, and I've made them mistakes. So when you spend time, for example, you try to paint something pure white, you know, like say the wings of my sanguinary guard here, and you've spent hours painting pure white up through the greys all the way to black, which I now know is a very pointless exercise. And you've got that model there. The moment that little droplet of water just goes bing, and you don't know it, you've now got a watermark on your hard fought after pure white, and you're now screwed. You imagine, like, on white, I reckon I could fix it. On yellow, I still reckon I could fix it, but I don't want to do that at all. I don't want to do it on any colour. I don't want to do it, you know. And these little droplets of water, they go far. In fact, I can. I can't prove it. Oh no, I can. Right. How far away do I normally have my lamp from me? So bear this in mind, Andy. Yeah. When I was painting, my lamp was on the left-hand side of this table.
Yeah.
How many droplets of water and watermarks can you see on my lamp? So bear in mind, I'm right-handed, so the lamp is generally about 1.5 to 1 metre away, right? So
yeah. So on the top surface there, there's 2, 3. Oh, there's a few down the side there.
What?
Oh yeah.
What? There's freaking loads. I don't know if you can see that on the screen, but there's loads. That stuff flies here, there, and everywhere. You can see. You see, I keep me specialty stuff close by as well. I'm really conscientious about how I wash my brush. You know, because I've had that bad stuff happen, essentially. Do we need a lamp on you, Andy? You're all like in shadow.
It's kind of lurking.
Lurk. So yeah. Right, is there any other questions about
that? I don't think we've got any extra questions.
No.
Feel free to send them if you do. Yeah, so Parabellum Painting, who asked the question about the pot, says they find their brushes do last a long time.
Yeah. How much longer could they last?
Yeah, could they last longer? Do you have to? Do you do any other brush care?
Do I?
No. Well, I was more asking
right.
Parabellum, but
yeah.
I mean,
do you know what? I rarely use brush soap, although I did use it today. But it wasn't for me; it's for a student. It's just for the brushes, Tommy, not for your students. Yeah. Well, I don't know. You're not messing with my students. You're all amazing, by the way, and you know it. I rarely use brush soap. I just make sure I treat them gently when I'm performing with them and when I'm cleaning them, and I make sure they always get cleaned and reset to pointy. And I always lay them down. Oh, there's some stood up there, but I never use the ones that are stood up in the corner.
Another little question from Parabellum. How often would you treat your brushes?
I've just kind of said, haven't I? Don't really. If they start giving me trouble, then I'll start treating them. But if they start giving me trouble, then that's the time I get rid. Because, you know, it's all easy, fine and dandy saying, oh, I've got to get better and I'll adjust to the brush. But a dead brush is a dead brush, and I need to adjust in the way that gets me a not dead brush, a good brush. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if your car's got a flat, fix it.
Yeah. But if the transmission has fallen out, then
get a new car.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the questions we've had.
Was that been enlightening for you guys?
Oh, sorry. One more. Parabellum Painting is keeping going with them. Can you over clean? Can you over soap your brushes?
I don't know. I've never tried. I mean, if I was to play like an idea in my head, if you were to use warm soapy water, you might start to undo the glue that holds the ferrule to the wood, and therefore the bristles in the ferrule. And I've seen that happen, but I don't know whether I've seen that happen because of over soaking and over soaping. I don't know, but I've seen stuff come undone. I've not experienced anything where I could say that's a thing, but at the end of the day, like we've already said, you don't need to wash them that hard. You know what I mean? You don't need to treat them that rough.
Well, so if you're as disciplined a painter as you don't. But for those of us,
okay.
for those of us who are not,
yet, this is why I have you here. This is so now he comes out of himself, right? No, yeah, go for it.
Right. So for those of us who are not quite so far on the path of Zen painting as you are, I still get bits of paint clagging up in the ferrule.
Yeah.
Right? And yeah,
mine,
you do. You can get that out. The stuff that I really like, I've got one here with a bit of oh, look at that. Yeah, filthy, mate. Filthy. You need to sort these out. Yeah, you should get some painting lessons. Yeah, those are
so I'm giving Andy all the brushes that I'd be using on a regular basis.
Yeah, those are horrible.
Well, but this is the point. Like, so I mean, how old that is? A 15-year-old brush. I'm still using it, and you see what I paint. You see how I paint.
Yeah. All right. So you're saying that you
feel free to chastise me about the state of these brushes, by the way. But I get results out of it. So
you can, but also so let's have a look at this lovely BrokenToad Series 2, probably judging by the colour of the handle.
Yeah, that is a Mark II.
Look, here's.
I actually think that's a busted one that I discarded recently.
All right, so you're not really helping me make a point, Tommy. So the point I'm trying to get to, right, is that if you get a brush and you haven't had it that long and you get a bunch of stuff clagged in the ferrule and you do want to clean it because the bristles are all flaring out, you can do it. There are various different brush soapy products available. Follow the instructions and it'll come out. Give it a good wash. Give it a good old rinse.
I use sanctioned brush soap, by the way, when I do.
Which I think is not a product that you can buy, so that's not very helpful.
No. So again, in fact, this goes to show you this easily is like a 20-year-old product,
right?
And it's still pretty much not unused, but I mean it's going to last forever anyway. Brush soap and buy one. Sorry, I interrupted you.
That's right. So I'm going to make a plug here for something that I learned from Marco Frazzoni's channel, which is Josonia brush soap. He's got a link to it. We're not going to get any referral points. Go and look at Marco Frazzoni. He's got a thing about brush care, a video about brush care on YouTube, and I got some of that, and that works an absolute treat. It restored a bunch of brushes that I thought were dead. They looked as bad as Tommy's horrible brushes, and that stuff works a treat. But their instructions definitely say at the end, use tepid water to rinse the stuff off. Not even warm water, tepid water. So I guess there is a risk that you might, if the water's too warm, you can undo some of the soap, some of the glue which holds the whole thing together.
That's really good. That.
Yeah, good rinse with tepid water. Again, this Josonia stuff you never leave any on the brush. Some brush soaps recommend that you leave some on.
Yeah, it's a conditioner.
Yeah, this Josonia stuff, get it off. Or try your best to get it off. It's kind of oily, so I think it stays behind despite your efforts to get it off, but get off as much as you can.
Right, interesting.
Yeah.
So now I've spent the last hour or so using brand new brushes. I'm looking at my old brushes and they are in a state. but you get used to looking at them, don't you? It's like the boiling frog.
It absolutely is. Yeah, they look fine until you get a new brush.
Right.
Yeah.
So, right. Wow. It's new brush time for Tommy. Well, in fact, I will right now relegate all them to the pot. I now have a new three sets of brushes. I've got what would be my Old Faithful and Old Reliables, which is the Element Games. And I've got my special occasions, which is BrokenToad, and the newcomer to the party, Rosemary and Co. All brilliant. Yeah.
All nice brushes.
Happy with that. I absolutely expect all the other sizes of brushes to kind of behave consistently. However, having said that, whenever I use Winsor Newton brushes, I consistently choose size 2s and size 0s. I always avoid size 1s because I find them really inconsistent in quality, and I can tell you precisely how they're inconsistent in the ones I've chose. I'm not going to say all of them. So when the brush comes to a point, the point on the size 1s I found like 50% of the ones I'd use, the point would actually go like that, and the point of the brush is like crossed hairs.
Oh.
And I found it pretty much only happened with the size ones. But the size 0 and size 2s, just like pretty much the only brush I ever used for years, because they were just great. You know, did everything I ever needed it all to do. So
yeah.
Dudes.
But all these brushes that we looked at today are great. Tommy reckons you could get Tommy quality results with them. I could probably do something with them as well. The BrokenToad brushes are definitely different and feel
accurate description.
Feel kind of lovely, but yeah, neither of us are going to claim that you could get any better results out of any of them. As Tommy said, you've got to adapt. You've got to learn how to use the tools that you got.
Yeah, you have to get better. Stop making it about your shopping list. Pisses me off. Yeah, there's so many crutches in this world. Stop adding to your list of crutches. Start reducing your list of crutches. In other words, reducing your shopping list and increasing your vocabulary of skills and abilities. You level up. You level up. You win the demon, not your shopping list. That's the way I look at it. That's my journey, man.
Well said.
Thank you. I like having you here.
Thanks, Tommy. I like
Same
being
time
here.
next week.
It's been great fun.
Has it?
Yeah,
Has it?
Yeah, it has.
Put it there. Honestly.
All right.
I've been trying to get you in for ages. Yeah. Yeah. Right, dudes. Was that good? Have we got anything else that people have said? Or?
No extra questions. Parabellum says they like the Winsor & Newton stuff. Cleaning stuff, I assume.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you've got a dirty brush, clean it with some soap. Exactly what you use. Yeah. Just use something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if you really can't get it to do anything, chuck it in the bin.
Yeah. Buy a new one. It's the same with paint, innit? And people who try and make paint last longer by changing the bottle or putting an agitator in it or putting a flow enhancer in it. But ultimately, you waste so much of it anyway. Just buy a new frigging pot. Stop worrying. Your hobby time's worth more.
Hey, here's products, right?
Go on.
Special scraper to scrape all the dry paint off your palette, repowder it, mix it back. A bit of.
Is it? You're blagging me? No, right.
I'm talking nonsense.
Right.
But, yeah.
I bet. I wonder if you could. I've got some paint stripper in there. I bet you could scrub it off and. No, I'll shut up. I'll shut up. Right, in fact, I've got to get rid of that, haven't I? Guys, thank you. That was fun.
It was fun. Yeah.
Brilliant. Any other comments, questions?
Just lots of thanks.
We see your Monday. Which Monday, Jammy Pack? Send me a message if I've forgotten something.
I seem to remember Jammy Pack might be from Manchester in America. I think.
That's not
I
you,
think
is
I
it?
saw that. Is that? Maybe I've got that wrong.
Have you changed your name? Or am I just going nuts and I've forgotten what your online name is? It's entirely possible.
Yeah, Jammy Pack. There you go. Chris from the other Manchester.
Ah, yes, right. Yeah, Chris. Tomorrow night, definitely we'll see you. Some of my favourite lessons have been with this fella.
Great. It's me, he says.
Yeah. Right, Chris. By the way, did you enjoy that? Because I care about Jammy Pack's journey right now. I've got to say, I've had some good lessons with him, and hopefully I've enlightened you as to what's going on with these things. Hairs on sticks. Because that's pretty much what it is. Right, are we going? We're out of here, aren't we?
Yeah,
Right.
I think so.
10 seconds. If a comment pops up, then we'll read it and deal with it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Dudes, have fun. Oh, you nerd. Any tips for painting in this heat if it's not too late? Great question. So, the heat is on the wall there. It's 26.8 degrees, which we shall translate to 27 for the sake of it. Get good at managing your moisture on the palette, and that directly relates to the brushes we're using. It's about understanding how to use the well. It's about understanding how to get your paint to the right consistency as fast as possible, as efficiently as possible, and loading it into a brush that has got an optimal, as much as possible without being saturated, amount of water in the well. Yeah, and that buys you time. It buys you drying time. I personally don't have any troubles painting in heat. Yes, my paint dries out. Yeah, I am in control of that within its drying habits. Yeah, I don't really whinge about it and complain about it, and I definitely don't lean on a wet palette. But I am incredibly quick at what I do, so I accommodate for the drying times. So that's a skill to learn. Mm-hmm. But yeah, considering how much you've got in the brush, what's the water to paint ratio in the brush, which can never have a number put on it because it's such a tiny amount. It's about how you connect the water in the well to the paint in the tip. That feeds moisture through the paint, which allows the paint onto the model, if that makes sense. You're looking for paint to always be allowed onto the model, never you have to paint it. If you have to paint it and you have to use pressure, yeah, then that's force and you will make mistakes. Mm-hmm. Now, what's the difference between pressure when I'm painting thin line, thick line, thin line, thick line? It's not pressure I'm changing, it's the height of the brush. There's a difference. Now, no one thinks about brush height. Almost everyone thinks brush pressure. It's less pressure for a thinner line, and it's more pressure for a thicker line, for example. But it's not. I don't change the pressure. I've got all of that brush firm. All I do is change the height. Pressure changes as a result of the height. So the amount of strength it takes me to hold the brush there and there is the same. There. It's always the same. Mm-hmm. I leave the pressure part to the bristles. It's brush height that changes. Mm-hmm. You know, so think in terms of those things. So yeah.
And as someone who's been learning this stuff from Tommy and trying to put it into practice myself, yeah, I can see that he's getting a lot of mileage out of treating the brush as he's just described, treating the paint and the water as he's just described. I get less mileage out of it. I'm slower at getting the brush to, the right place on the model. It takes me a bit more time to decide that I have the correct mixture of paint and water on the palette. But with practice, it's getting better, it's getting faster. I'm getting more and more mileage out of just a dry palette, paint and water,
yeah,
and a well-managed brush in the heat.
So you're looking for this. You're always looking to. You're looking for economy. You're looking to strike a balance between a bunch of factors, but I'm not going to get into it now because that's a really long conversation. But it's economy breeds quality. That's what I've found in painting, and I'm finding it in other areas of life as well. Right? Economy breeds quality, and yes, I am much more economic at preparing my paint on the palette, loading it onto the brush and applying it to the model in as optimal a way as possible in each of those three arenas, yeah, while simultaneously I'm super aware of how fast my paint is drying on the palette while doing all this. I'm super aware of how the consistency is affected by that, and I'm constantly manage it. So let's say if me and Andy were having a conversation now and I had a mix there and we just got distracted and we were talking about this, that and the other, blah, 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 you probably see me still managing the paint on the palette while we were talking, because I'm keeping that paint in a workable state. Mm-hmm. Yeah? I manage the paint. I'm the boss of the paint. It's my world, my painting, my model, my area is mine. So I don't cry about the paint dried out. I let the paint dry out, or I manage the paint to keep it in a state usable. And anything else is bollocks to me. And well, that's the skill I've developed. It's not. So I developed it in Games Workshop in a store that was like 30 odd degrees on a busy Saturday, getting bumped by kids. Developed it because it was just normal. I didn't think, oh, I have to develop it. I just developed it. So because I didn't have all these blockages of, oh, it's impossible, oh, you need flowing answers, oh, then, well, I made it up the mountain, didn't I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I made it up the mountain, but you know, people don't like to hear me say that. Like, you don't need it. Honestly, I get fuckers coming at me all the time. Oh no, you'd have done better blends if you'd have used a flowing answer. What do you mean? Have I done a flawless blend? Yeah. So what are you on about? Well, you'd have found it easier. I found it easy anyway, but not because it was easy, because I developed me.
Mm-hmm.
Develop you, not your shopping list. Honestly.
Grand.
Yeah, well, it's true, though, isn't it?
It is.
When I think about it. No, it's not everybody's way. Some people do just want results. Have results. What's that? What is that? But what's this button? Me mum. Right, my mum's coming on. Invite. I should just be able to click on it. Is that right? My mum's coming on apparently. Here we go. Best not embarrass me. Is it happening? Oh, hiya! Can't hear you.
Hello there.
Hello there. Everyone say hello to me mum.
Hello.
Do you like her hairdo? I made my mum's hairdo, by the way.
Oh yeah, very good.
I basically shaved the sides of her head like Tank Girl.
Right. Yeah.
And so my mum's got her undercut, essentially, like Tank Girl.
It's a strong look.
It's a strong look.
Yeah, it's great.
How are you doing? Are you okay?
Yes, we're fine, thank you.
Yay! Have you been sat watching me live stream?
Yeah.
Yeah. How long
Yeah.
for?
Only about half an hour.
Half an hour.
Yeah.
What did you learn about brushes?
Well, I'm in charge of the brush. And I'm
You're
in
what?
charge of the paint.
Oh right, okay.
And I'm in charge of the temperature of the room.
Unless it's a night like tonight.
And
You've
I'm in charge of the errors as well.
Right, I like it. Check that out. Oh, by the way, right, everybody, the reason I even do this hobby is because of my mum. My mum allowed me to go into Games Workshop Manchester in 1980, whatever, paid for everything that I wanted, whether I knew what I was getting or not, and took me to multiple games days and Golden Demons when I was a kid. And if that hadn't happened, you guys wouldn't have this nutcase sat here. So there you go. Everyone thank the matriarch.
Yeah, fantastic.
So yeah. But what's it like watching your son put his professional persona on? I know I'm a bit game show hosty sometimes. Or am I just projecting my own insecurities now? What do you reckon, Mum? Therapy me.
Admiration.
Oh. Right, here you go. In the news, right, I'll like, tell you something about my mum. I'm just going to say like my mum's one of these nursey heroes. Can I embarrass you, Mum? Is that all right? And talk to you about your work?
If you wish.
If I wish.
Yeah.
So my mum is part of the team that's developing a new and better vaccine for COVID. That is what my mum is part of the team of. So there you go. Round of applause, my mum. She also was at the front of testing for it in Manchester to see who got it, and on and on and on, and administering the other vaccines. Is that right, Mum?
Yes, love.
So there you go. It's been on the news and everything.
Brilliant.
It is.
It is. I'm not being flippant. It's fantastic stuff.
It is fantastic stuff to know, regardless of what weirdness is on the internet, regardless of what is on the news or blah blah blah. I literally have somebody that's there. I can say what are the facts.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go. So isn't that awesome? That's my mum. Right, Mum. I'm gonna go because we've been doing this for ages,
right,
and we're out of here. Thank you for turning up. And maybe Thursday, Friday next week if you're up for it.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Bye.
He likes it, don't we?
We do.
Right. Where's my mum gone?
Turn me off.
Oh, he's still here. He's where it
Yes.
is. A weird thing.
Turn me off.
I don't know. I don't know how to do it. Save me!
I've done it.
Have you done it?
Yeah.
Doesn't sound like it.
I've done it, yeah.
Turn the camera off. I don't know how to work this either.
No. Right. Bam. 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 I don't know. It's my phone just glitchy.
I don't know what's going on.
No. Right. We're just going to end this thing anyway. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night. And I'll see yous all when I see yous all. Say bye, Andy.
Bye!